Okay, I mean, it's a stump speech. This is the speech that she gives everywhere. It's the same thing.
The same lines you might have heard before. Yeah, it's the standard.
Yeah, and most politicians did this before Trump. Trump doesn't, I think Trump, when he goes and does his, I'll call it a show, because it's kind of a show.
Well, he starts with the stump speech.
I think he starts with that.
And then when people get bored, he goes off.
Well, I don't know if people get bored at a Trump thing. I mean, you never know what the guy's going to say.
Well, they don't like him reading off a teleprompter.
They like when he riffs. Anyway, the crowd is just super hot for her. There's no question about it. There's 15 to 20,000 people. They packed the place. They've been there since 1 o'clock. So I want you to think about it. Like, for me, could you imagine going to a concert 4 hours beforehand and waiting and waiting and waiting?
No, I don't want to see anybody that badly.
That's part of it. But the other part of it is, like, you run out of steam after a while. And this crowd has not run out of steam.
No.
Everybody and anybody except for our governor was there.
Oops.
I just don't think she likes being part of this kind of thing. And she said she had something else to do, but we've heard her do that before. But Ruben Gallego was there running for Senate. We've got Kate Gallego was there, the mayor of Phoenix. Mark Kelly was there with Gabby Giffords.
Mayor of Mesa, John Giles, Republican mayor, was there.
Obviously, the governor of Minnesota was there. He's the running mate.
Yeah.
Governor Walz. Am I missing anybody else?
There were a few other speakers, but it's you got them.
All right. Well, why don't we take a couple minutes talk about the speech?
Okay.
I mean, what did you think of it? Because the one thing that I like, you're not going to really learn a ton of stuff here. I think if you're asking me, what's the bottom line on this? The bottom line is she got 20,000 people to go out there, and this place was loud, excited. She used the word joy. I mean, I think if you're a Democrat, you're just loving it's not Joe Biden. You absolutely love it. She is definitely put a spark in most people who are Democrats. Can she get the independent vote in Arizona is going to be a massive question. But, I mean, in terms of a rally, and we've looked at numbers, this may be the largest Democratic rally in the state of Arizona.
History.
Partially because Arizona has only been a swing state for a few years.
Yeah.
It never used to be that way. And Democrats were like, I'm not going over there.
I don't think JFK was spending time in Arizona.
Right. Right.
I mean, but you can go back.
In terms of excitement, she definitely brings that in terms of policy, in terms of doing a sit-down interview, in terms of we really don't know.
Remains to be seen.
Yeah. What did you think of
again, I've seen. This is the same. I'll use the term. It's the same speech she's given a few other times at these other rallies. So there's nothing you didn't hear before. She did touch on immigration, which was kind of added to this speech. We were wondering how would she address it, being in Arizona. And she did, at least in her version of it. Keep in mind, it's platitudes. It's, big promises and things, but she did bring it up.
All right.
We had a chance to pass the toughest bipartisan border security bill in decades. But Donald Trump tanked the deal.
100% right. But is she going to talk about, the answer is no, her part in what's happened at the border the last 4 years? You really can't. You can't do it. You don't have anything to stand on. You guys have been horrific in D.C. I mean, we've seen numbers that we've never seen before. So what will happen if she's the president?
When I am president, I will sign the bill.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Well, it has to pass Congress. It's very easy for a president to say that. It's like when Trump says it, I'm going to do that. It has to go through Congress.
Would Trump sign that bill?
No.
She will. Don't you think?
Yeah, Trump wouldn't be able to sign it because then people go, well, why are you okay with it now when you weren't okay with it then? Mm-hmm. So he's going to have to throw a bunch of other stuff in it to make it the Trump bill, and then it wouldn't pass Congress.
Should we believe that she would sign it? I
believe so because President Biden said he was going to sign it even before Trump came out against it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had
kind of a no-brainer.
It was the most conservative border bill that had probably ever made it through a committee and made it onto the floor of the Senate.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not convinced that she would sign it after what I've seen from Biden and Harris. I don't know if she's really interested in doing something.
I'm the other side of this, only from this standpoint. I couldn't care less about the border. Not an issue to me. Doesn't finish in my top 20 things I worry about.
I care about the border.
It doesn't affect me any way, shape, or form on a daily basis. Not at all. This doesn't affect me.
Yeah,
not in a negative way. It affects me in a positive way, but it doesn't affect me in a negative way.
I don't think we should be letting everybody in. And I think that the asylum issue has to be fixed. It must be
by law.
And Biden has not done that.
Changed the law.
He had an executive order.
Not the job of the president to change the law. It's the job of Congress.
Executive order actually has worked. We'll see if the
I don't want a king. That's why I won't vote for Trump. Not interested in a king. Yeah. I want Congress to do the job that it's supposed to do. I would love for our immigration laws to be changed. Until then, follow the bleeping law.
Yeah, it'll never be changed.
We're a nation of laws.
I don't think it'll ever be changed by Congress. That's why you have Trump, who did all the executive orders. That's why you have Biden, who did all the executive orders.
Yeah.
Didn't
like either of them.
Let me bring something up from Kamala Harris, and she's wrapping up. She said she's running as an underdog.
Well, I mean, I think that's true. I mean, other than a few little polls that have come out in the last few days, I mean, they're still Trump is ahead in a majority of the swing states.
I'm not so sure that's the truth. I don't think.
Well, other than a couple polls, when you're still looking at the polling average, which is taking into account, granted, maybe things that are a little older than 2 weeks.
Okay, but Arizona, and again, take it with a grain of salt, but she leads +3 in Arizona, latest poll.
On one poll.
Right.
Yeah.
Nevada, she's +6 in a poll that came out yesterday.
In the polling average, Trump's up 1.5 in Arizona.
In the polling average.
On Real Clear Politics. Yes.
Okay.
Looking at 4 polls that have come out in the last 2 weeks, Trump's up 1.5. Which is margin of error, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It's close.
It's not good for Trump, though. He was up 7, Bruce.
Oh, yeah, he was up much more.
He was up 7 to 8 points against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So clearly we've got people in Arizona that are saying, okay, I didn't like Biden. I didn't like Trump. But I think you're going to see people say, okay, well, Harris isn't either of them. She might not be the best pick, but she ain't the two old guys. And maybe that's why the tide has turned.
Well, and I think what you're seeing, too, is it's not that Trump's numbers have come down. His support is what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
it's that independents and or Democrats came back to the Harris side.
What was the poll that we talked about the other day where he was up by 15 points with independent
voters,
across the nation?
It was a morning consult poll, yeah.
Okay, and now he's down by 8.
Yeah, kind of completely flipped around.
And we'll see if that stands. But
I have no idea. Right, but that's the argument. Right. And again, you look at what happened today out in Glendale, and this rally. Is this sustainable? It's August. We're 80-something days from the election. Is this sustainable? Listen? She's going to say something stupid. There's going to be a flub, a gaffe, or whatever. I don't know.
Plenty of opportunity.
But it's going to happen.
Debates, one-on-one interviews.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
How will they deal with it then? Right. How will it blunt any of the momentum? The good news is, I would argue, if you're them, I think the reason they feel good about it is
the Democrats.
They know that Trump will shoot himself in the foot 3 times a day. So don't worry. Just put a microphone in front of him and let him go.
Kamala Harris finished up her speech in Glendale. We carried a portion of it live on KTAR. Let me hit you with this one.
Yeah.
It is interesting that during some of the rallies that Harris and her running mate have had, the crowd starts chanting, "Lock him up." And they
stop the crowd.
They don't want to hear that. And I think, okay, so how does that play? Because they should love that. But they're trying to be above it, which we know they're not. But
I think I don't think at this point it's an accident. Okay, so I'm saying this is the plan. The plan is to be positive,
right?
And lock him up is not positive. So they did it when Walz was speaking, and he said, "No, we're just going to beat him at the ballot box or something like that."
And that is a choice that they have made,
right?
Yeah.
To stop this from being like the chant that you do. Yeah.
Because that's an angry chant.
Right. And this is not this is their words, not mine.
Yeah.
They're trying to be happy warriors. And you don't do that with that kind of vitriol or anger. So, I mean, you have to talk about your opponent at some point. Don't get me wrong.
So is this a campaign of, and I'll use Harris's words, freedom and joy versus Donald Trump, America's burning?
America's a hellhole, according to
America's a
Donald
hellhole.
Trump. It's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Well, fear
It's horrible.
works.
Dude, but if it's not backed up with any reality, I mean, are the streets burning? Did I miss something?
Listen, we got problems in the country. I totally get it. But I think that is certainly the case.
Well, we're going to find out.
Harris wants to pitch America. Listen, we're not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
We're hopeful. And they're kind of doing the opposite of how Trump
counter programming, as we would call it. And of course, I mean, well, this is you can't out Trump, right?
Yeah, but you can't be all nice and happy and joyous because we do have problems here and we got to tackle these issues.
But you don't have to hate people to tackle the issues.
Well, I think both sides unfortunately hate each other.
Well, one side has a candidate who every time you put a microphone or camera in front of it gives you the list of people he hates.
Well, he's got a big list.
Gives a list of the people he hates. Yeah, on any given moment.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.